We're in. Broadcasting, boys.
Alrighty. Well,
No viewers
good
yet,
evening,
but...
everybody. Welcome to Wheel to Wheel Group 3 Team Series Round 11 for Division 3. Up in the commentary box, we've got myself, Squidly. We've got Footnar. And
here I am.
Fine Moves as well, who'll be back shortly. I think we're just about to kick off into some qualifying.
The boys have been out on track practicing for the last half an hour. The lobby's been open, so the boys should be ready and warmed up to go for qualifying.
Be good to see. I don't think we've done a live event for Division 3 yet, so this will be good to see.
That is correct. This is our first. It's interesting to see what strategies come out to play in the qualifying session. Being a relatively short lap, you can handle this multiple different ways.
You get a host of different strategies throughout the different divisions, and it's good to see we've got quite a bit of strength throughout all three lobbies, all three divisions, as we follow around on track with Smurf, closely followed by ZD there in the privateer for Porsche.
Smurf is hosting the lobby today. He will be the one in control of the race starts and stuff, so thank you to Smurf for hosting this week's Wheel to Wheel Division 3 lobby.
Thanks to all of our hosts, really. They do a good job. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes in this league, and hosting a lobby is just part of that. There's a surprising amount of work that needs to go just into that. So to all our hosts out there, thank you. As we see Smurf turning onto the final corner for his first hot lap.
ZD sitting in close with some slipstream as well. Interesting to see someone gets held up. Oh, they're going side by side. Interesting. Smurf's conceded the position. He doesn't want to fight in qualifying. That's a smart move. Let ZD go away on his flyer. So I expect to see Smurf in the pits at the end of this lap, ducking in for a set of fresh boots.
Yeah, we should see him burning quite a bit of fuel throughout the lap, just to give him that extra little boost on the next one as he runs a little bit wide. I think you're right, he'll be definitely into the pits.
Another Porsche following in third. We got Hustle, another New Zealand boy there. Another privateer, so the Porsches are all out.
Looking back through the pack, we've also got Warpath there, 360 in the pink Supra. Piano Elephant following not too far behind in the GTR. Weary City in another GTR, and King Oscar as well, just putting a move on there. Obviously getting the leap in front of him there in the black FT1.
Looks like Weary Citizen is trying to burn a bit of fuel there. He's sitting the car on the limiter for a bit, extending his gear shifts.
Yeah, it's a good strategy, getting some of those early qualifying laps out of the way, just burning fuel, making that car much lighter, and also conserving your tyres just to give you that final solid sprint lap.
ZD first across the line there with a 123.7. Not a bad time for the Porsche. Hustle straight to the top there with a 22.9 though.
Seeing quite a few around the 22-23 mark there, and also looking quite close. Difference between first and second currently at 1/10. Second and third is down to 800ths. Nice and close up the top.
Smurf did stay out after having that adventurous first lap. He has had a spin here. He's gone off. Not a great session for Smurf. You've got to gather that up and get around. You've got time for one more lap.
Continuing back through the pack, currently in position 11 we have Pagani Trixo. Pagani is one of our fellow commentators here in the league, obviously out on track at the moment, and as we move into Season 5 we'll be keen to have him join us in the commentary box. Vanquish down in 13th in the blue Aston Martin there.
Both yet to settle up, as well as Weary Citizen. They both ducked in for some fresh boots and have done some fuel burning, so they're both leaving themselves their one lap dash qualifying. Really is a win it or bin it situation when you put all your eggs in that basket. Interesting to see what those boys do when they cross the line.
Looks like
Do
a
have
few of
some
these
purple
boys.
sectors. Oops,
Yeah,
sorry, mate,
I was
you
just
go.
going to say, no, I was just saying that. A few of these boys are starting to get purple as King Oscar takes the lead with almost 2/10 on Hustle.
FT1 isn't too bad around here, as we learnt in Div 1. Arguably not as strong as the Mitzi there, but vanquished to the top in the Aston Martin.
Ooh, with
1.5 seconds. He's putting out Div 1 times.
Yeah, that's a
Vanquished,
commanding lead
absolutely
there with a
moving.
121.3. We might ride on board for the remainder of this lap with.
Oh, we've had
Pagani.
Weary in the fence. We've got Weary in the fence. He didn't set a pace lap. That's an unlucky qualifying session for Weary Citizen there. 9 seconds off. Didn't quite get to set a pace lap. Just dipped the wheels and it just spears him into the fence. It happens on nearly every corner around here. The sand's very unforgiving. And as we know, you got to maximise your track width to get some time. Really decrease those turn radiuses so you can carry more mid-corner speed.
Absolutely.
Some good news, boys. We've got the replays working. Just tested it out there on Weary Citizen on his spill.
Yeah, just saw that on the Twitch stream. That looks great. I hope you boys and the viewers watching enjoy the replays we're bringing to you tonight. Didn't have those working last week, but here we are with everything fully functional today. So hopefully get a bit more fluent streaming and get some replays for you all.
Look, as long as we get better each week, that's I think the main thing. So 1 minute and 27 seconds left in qualifying. Most seem to have finished their laps.
It appears as though everyone's finished their lap. We may have just had someone exit to pits. It looks like Weary's exited to pits. Unfortunately, that in this game does mean we will have to... Oh, no. It ended. Oh, he had to cross the line.
Back out on track.
He just had to cross the line. There we go.
Into the first race of Division 3 in round 11 for the wheel-to-wheel Group 3 series at Laguna Seca, home of the famous corkscrew, one of the most difficult downward chicanes in worldwide motorsport.
The track, funnily enough, I learnt this week, actually built by a farmer in his backyard as well.
God, it's come a long way since there. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
one of the most iconic motorsport tracks in the world. But enough about the facts. We've got a race starting now. Vanquish commanding qualifying with a 1.5 second advantage. Appears to bog down a little bit on the start, but he's gathered it up. He's got the Aston away. Antichrist in another Aston looking to take that lead from him. They're clean through turn 1 and 2.
A little bit of movement down the back as you see King Oscar off to the left there.
King Oscar gone from 3rd or 4th down to 11th. Not the way you want to start a race. We got Piano Elephant spin at the back. Piano Elephant's had an accident the same place Weary did. And we've got King Oscar going wide. It's all kicking off here in Div 3.
They're coming around turn 5. Vanquish still with a good lead over Antichrist, and Hustle following up closely in his privateer Porsche.
A few Porsches in this lobby. We got Hardstopper in the privateer Porsche, ZD in the privateer Porsche, Smurfing in the team Porsche, Hustle in the privateer Porsche.
Heavy in numbers down this way.
We've got Hardstopper having a moment at the chicane as well. He's gone wide. He's pulled it up on the side of the track to let the rest of the guys through. Nothing worse than a dangerous rejoin, so well done there, Heartstopper. That Pagani managed to take Hustle on the last turn as well, so we got Pagani up to 3rd. Pagani tends to have a bit of pace, so he's going to be one to watch. Only got 2 positions between him and 1st place, so he's going to be pushing very hard for that.
The There's really only two strategies you can you typically run on the first 11 lap race. You'll either do a no stopper, look after your tyres and take care of that fuel, or you'll do a one stopper around the 5 lap, 6 lap mark, and you have to look after your tyres a little bit just to keep them nice and clean so they last throughout that race. Some of the issues you can run if you have if you're planning a no stopper and you run a bit too hard too early, you run the risk of being a bit too slow in the second half of the race. But at this stage, everything looks fairly tidy, especially in the top few races here.
Well, you've got the race
wide into the corkscrew.
It's a shame from Pagani. The top 4 just appeared to be breaking away in their own little battle pack. And then the next battle pack was from 5th to 7th there. And then you've got another one. So the race seems to be dividing into battle packs, which isn't that uncommon. You tend to find that the people of similar pace tend to find each other in the race at some point. And then because they're similar pace, they can't pull away and they don't drop back. So not an uncommon situation. But now we've just had 2 battle packs merge into 3. Vanquish pushing out there with a 2-second lead. Absolutely moving. Hopefully he's not damaging his tyres too much. Does have to make them last 11 to play on their competitive strategy, which is the no stop. One stop losing you approximately 14 seconds at a track like this. Going to be very hard to make that up in 6 laps if he decides to pit for a one stop.
Absolutely, it's a very long pit lane on this track. A lot of time lost there, but that all plays into the strategies really in working out what's best for you, running a 2-stop strategy or a 1-stop strategy or a no-stop. It's it comes down to more than just how aggressive you drive the track and how aggressive the track is on the tyres and the fuel. Time in the pit lane is crucial.
We'll see if it'll be interesting to see if Antichrist is just hanging back, conserving some tyres, and will be looking for a late race lunge.
Vanquish and Antichrist, of course, both driving for Aston Martin. Typically, obviously, you'll see between similar team members, not too much pushing the envelope when it comes to passing and defending. You'll often see them letting each other go and making sure that their team also
Definitely
gets the right amount of points for the Manufacturers' Cup.
Yeah, just looking at the back of the pack now, we've got Soul Slayer as well. It looks like he's had an incident. He wasn't sitting last before. We did miss the action there, but poor old Soul Slayer didn't have the best of runs through Kyoto in the last round. Taken out. Seems to be, I don't know if this one was self-inflicted or if he's had some contact, but old Soul Slayer is going to be looking to make some time up from the back there, closing that gap down to Weary and try and bring himself back into this race.
2 cars at the moment that are driving quite close together. We've got ZD in the Porsche in 7th and King Oscar in 8th coming up to the corkscrew here. Might be worth riding on board and just seeing if this action plays out, especially with Smurf tucking in just behind King Oscar there with a gap of 3/10.
Yeah, Smurf seems to have dropped a couple of positions there. He wasn't doing too bad down in 5th, but here we see him in 9th. See King Oscar just clipping that apex beautifully.
When you watch these cars driving around on track, you don't take into account sometimes the amount of practice that these drivers are putting in. We've got practice lobbies running all throughout the week, all different times of day.
We got Pagani around the outside of Warpath at turn 1. Sorry, that's worth a replay, boys. Beautiful. That was a fantastic move from Pagani. Not a common move, not a common corner to stick a move around the outside, that's for sure. That was absolutely amazing watching that.
Here we go, boys. We're on Pagani's replay.
Right on board now with Pagani as he makes this absolute send of a move around the outside.
Absolutely beautiful. He had the grip and he certainly took that to his advantage. Kept it off the grass and off the gravel. Nicely done.
Laguna not known for its passing opportunity, so you've got to create them, and that's exactly what Pagani's done just there. He's created his own overtaking opportunity in a very unconventional spot. Probably caught Warpath 360 off guard as well. You don't expect someone to send it around the outside of turn 1, especially when it's a double apex from left-hander.
He's got a hard slog ahead of him, 4 seconds the gap between he and Hustle in third, but that is falling, and I'll be keen to see how that plays out with coming on to 6 laps remaining.
And we've got Antichrist absolutely murdered the gap between him and Vanquish. It's down to half a second now. Vanquish was 2 seconds up, only a matter of laps ago. It looks like he's used a bit too much of his tyres. The tyre wear is significantly different, so it looks like Antichrist doing a fantastic job at saving his tyres, is yielding him some great late race pace. That was hard to say.
Tongue twister.
I might need you to bail me out of some tongue twisters I get myself into again. So Hustle's sitting comfortably in third there. He's got a bit of a window in front and a bit behind. I think the smartest thing for Hustle to do now is just focus on running a clean race, and he should be able to net himself a comfortable third position, which should yield some great points.
Soul Reaper down in 6th. Definitely starting to put the moves onto Warpath with a gap of 6 tenths.
And speaking of the old FT1s there, yep. We have got King Oscar dropping down to 11th, who was right on the tail of ZD before. So King Oscar having a moment there. We've also got Soul Slayer, who's managed to put the moves on Weary Citizen, so Soul Slayer's got himself up a position. He might be out of the race, but at the moment, the thing he's just got to do is put his head down, just minimise that time difference.
Quite a few tricky little corners in this track, not least of which obviously the corkscrew, which I mentioned earlier, but a couple of double apex corners, a couple of nice off-camber right-handers, long sweeping corners. This track has a little bit of everything, and of course very slippery if you dip a tyre onto the grass. As Soul Reaver goes for the inside but pulls out of it on Warpath.
Yeah, we'll drop down to 6th and 5th, we'll drop for the battle there, have a look at Warpath and Oz Soul having a good little dive there. Oz Soul Reaper not looking to hang around. He wants to get this move done and keep moving forward. With only 4 laps to go, he's going to have to find a way past very soon.
Pagani, the Lexus just in front that we can see there as well, with a comfortable 1.1 second lead on Warpath. Soul Reaper definitely wanting to get this done.
All the fighting that's probably going to ensue between Ozsoul and Warpath is probably going to result in a bit more clear air for Pagani as well, which is going to try and allow him to put his head down and close that gap to Hustle, try and net himself a podium position in the first race here.
Definitely, battling doesn't really pay, unfortunately. Clean passing and then moving on, you know, that's one thing, but if you're caught in a battle with a driver of very similar speed...
we've got Heartstopper off at the final turn, down in 12th there. Heartstopper's had a big moment, lost lots of time there.
Unlucky, unfortunately. That's the way it goes.
There we see him off in the sand. Not a great place to be on a racetrack when it's predominantly made of tarmac.
He's around again at the Andretti corner, unfortunately.
You'll find, once you have an off and you get dirty tyres, your tyres remain dirty for a series of corners. It's probably a good, half a lap worth of dirty tyres around here. So you've really got to be careful, and learning those new braking markers and mid-corner speed is something that's very hard to do on the fly. So you just got to slow it down, clean your tyres up, and then you can go back to race pace.
Absolutely. Most of the pack keeping a nice gap between the cars in front and the cars behind, and really maintaining their positions nicely. Nothing too aggressive going on.
Soul Reaper and Warpath have managed to close that gap to 4th, which is Pagani and the Lexus. I'm not sure if it was a mistake there, but it looks like we are going to have a 3-way battle for 4th for the last 2 laps. So strap in, everyone. We're in for an exciting finish here. Not to mention the battle up the front, with Antichrist only being 6 tenths off Vanquish with much fresher tyres.
Yeah, you wonder if there might be a plan from Antichrist for a late notice move late in the game. 2.5 laps remaining. He's definitely seems like he's got the pace and the cleaner tyres.
You can tell by the fastest lap there set by Piano Elephant that Vanquish is a bit concerned about who's behind him, and Antichrist is probably being a bit conservative on the brakes, trying not to run into the back of Vanquish as well. So Piano Elephant setting the fastest lap of the race from position 9. In the Nissan, which is a bit of a tank around here as well. He's currently under pressure from King Oscar.
A lot of clean driving down here in DIV3 as they come around into the final corner and onto the main straight.
So we're right on board up the front with Antichrist here, chasing down Vanquish. We are keen to see what the strategy here is. Does he not have the pace to put a move on, or is he just sitting back and biding his time, waiting for Vanquish to properly use up all of his tyre and make a mistake?
Keeping that gap quite consistent, and he has done so for the last probably about 3 laps or so. As Vanquish runs a little bit wide, Antichrist capitalises, taking 3/10 out on the run up to the corkscrew. Looks like Vanquish is really starting to feel the hurt of those tyres after 11 laps.
Right, is well under halfway there. And you've got Antichrist with just a bit over half. So there's a massive difference in tyre wear. That's going to equate to a matter of tenths per lap. I think we will see Antichrist try and send a move somewhere on this last lap.
Vanquish seems quite strong when it comes to putting down speed immediately out of corners. And unfortunately that's giving him a run out of corners that Antichrist can't quite catch in a lot of cases. But in the corners, mid-corner, you just see that lead that Vanquish has disappear.
Back in 5th and 6th, we've got Ozsold looking to find a way past Warpath. He's been stuck behind that Supra there for a matter of laps now. Are we going to see a late race lunge from Ozsold Reaper as well, or is he just going to keep it clean and be happy with his 6th spot?
ZD runs wide in 7th, gets it back on the track.
Yeah, well so gathered there, ZD.
6-second gap behind him, so he's looking fairly comfortable.
We'll see the race out of the boys up front. Antichrist drastically running out of corners to put a move on Vanquish. It doesn't look like it's going to eventuate. It looks like Vanquish has managed to drive. He's led the race from start to finish. You can't take that away from him. He absolutely dominated qualifying there with a 1.5 second advantage.
Big difference
yes,
in the tyres, but he's looked after them enough just to keep his nose in front.
And he must have done a fair bit of practice on the old used tyres there.
Absolutely. He runs across with a 1.2 second gap from the Antichrist in 2nd, Hustle New Zealand in 3rd, Garni bringing up 4th.
Warpath managed to defend from Ozsold Reaper for the rest of the race. ZD didn't dip any wheels off, and he managed to keep it clean. So 2 Porsches coming through in 7th of H. ZD manages the goat flick across the line. Piano Elephant, who set the fastest lap of the race, bringing up 9th. We've got Soul Slayer, who's managed to claw his way from the back earlier in the race, up to 10th. Good effort, Soul Slayer, well driven.
King Oscar with a couple of offs during the race in 11th. Weary Citizen just making the last turn now. And Hardstopper right on his tail.
It's a very, very tricky, challenging track to keep it clean. I learned that the hard way in Div 1. I started from 2nd, I finished last, but it is what it is. Once you get those dirty tyres, you find it's a bit of a domino effect for more mistakes to creep in. You have a spin, you take out life from the tyres, it just becomes a lot harder than harder than it is for just keeping it clean for the rest of the race on the black stuff. So
Definitely.
we'll see. Hopefully the boys learn from their race 1 mistakes. They may have been pushing a little bit too hard, maybe didn't know how to drive in the dirty air of the vehicles in front. We'll hope they learn and manage to keep it clean for the 22 lapper, which is a reverse grid race.
Reverse
So we'll
grid,
see
it'll be
two
good to see a
boys.
lot of different strategies coming in. Shout out to all the boys in the chat. We've got 11 viewers currently. Soul Slayer, Tombo, Rexy, and K-Boy all saying hi. Feel free, if you are watching, drop us a like, drop us a comment, let us know you're here and you're playing along at home. If you're not part of Wheel to Wheel, we'll use this opportunity in the break that we've got between races, which might be a couple of minutes, to explain who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do. Basically, we're a group of like-minded guys and girls. We love to race on GT Sport, and usually we're racing in the Group 3 type cars, which are the Gran Turismo's version of the GT3 cars in real life. We race a total of 12 rounds, I believe, with a mix of sprint races and enduros. We run two races in each round. The first is usually half the number of laps of the second, and what that allows is a bit of a sprint race in the first, where you see those really strong qualifiers tend to excel, and race 2 you see those strategy drivers start to come into their own as they run their own strategies, and they start to use that to surpass the other guys who are quite quick on track on a lap-to-lap basis, but less so at looking after their tyres or looking after their fuel and needing to pit more.
Exactly right. And scattered amongst the sprint rounds, we've got our enduros. So this season we had 3 enduros. Next season shaping up to be 4 enduros. Following last round, which is next week. So I hope everyone viewing is going to tune in for next week. We've got actually we're not going to be streaming. Sorry, shouldn't have mentioned that. It's a bit hard to stream. We've got a 90-minute enduro. So anyone who's not currently in the league but is spectating, you can join the league at any time. You don't have to sign up at the start. We do accommodate for people joining at any time. Just be a privateer rather than the team driver, but that's not an issue at all. You can hop in for our 90-minute Bathurst Super Enduro, which is going to bring a close to our Season 4. And then, as we are a very league-based or people-based league, we've had a bunch of voting happening for Season 5, which is still ongoing. So you can jump into the league now, have your say in what you want to see in Season 5, and then we'll be bringing you weekly streaming from Season 5.
Something that we might be able to achieve for next week, we won't be able to stream live, but during the week following the races themselves, we may be able to put some commentary in based on the replays, and we might be able to bring the events to you after the fact. Watch this space. Make sure you like Wheel to Wheel Racing on Twitch and subscribe to see what happens.
Not too long away from race 2 here. We tend to have approximately 5 to 10 minute break. You tend to just round it up to a nice number. Well, we'll just let people grab a glass of water, go to the toilet, sort themselves out, A
couple of the drivers back out on track, getting that practice back in. We've got ZD, Piano Elephant, and Weary Citizen back on the track. Just running around, putting some heat in those tyres.
Yeah, not a bad strategy. This is the type of track where you do need the practice. The practice does help.
Look,
It's a hard track to get right, as we were saying. Trying to piece an absolute flyer around here is very challenging. You got a series of corners that are downhill, uphill, off camber, on camber, late apex, early apex, and you just can't drop a wheel. You've got sausage curbs on the inside, sand on the outside. It's just a bit of a mix of absolutely everything you can want in a track, which is probably why it's become so iconic in its time. Very rewarding to get right, but very hard to do so. And when you're forced to a one-stop strategy in this longer 22-lap race, lapping around here on those older tyres can absolutely bite you hard and can send you from first to last.
Now, as we briefly touched on before, running 11 laps around Laguna Seca is one thing. No stop. By the look of it, there weren't any stops from any of the boys in race 1, but you're guaranteed to see at least one stop in race 2. So this is where tyres and fuel management really start to come into it. You can run the tyres absolutely ragged, but save lots of fuel, and still come out of someone else who's done the exact opposite. So you might see different guys running hard tyres off the line and then moving to softs later, or mediums, and any combination in between. A lot of the strategies in Division 1 were just to run the soft tyres for 11 laps, twice over. What you do result in with that is some very, very worn racing slick soft tyres. So it'll be interesting to see if there are any mediums or any hard tyres to be run in Division 3 here, and to see if there's any benefit in doing so.
Yes, as mentioned before, we are on board with DIV3 wheel-to-wheel racing currently. We've had Div1 and Div2 both run their races today. Myself and Squidly here, and Fine Moose, who's doing the visuals, all raced in the Div1 lobby. Div2 started shortly after, and now here we are in Div3, bringing you guys the action live.
I'll say that race 2 was not my proudest moment, but we won't really go too far into that at the moment.
I can nearly say the opposite, except I'm not happy with a win in a reverse grid race where I started from pole. I had an absolute shocker in race 1, and all I had to do was just keep it clean while the battles behind me happened.
I, on the other hand, was thrilled with race 1. I snagged an 8th in Division 1.
It wasn't a good race for me, but we're here watching Div 3. We don't want to talk about Div 1 race 1, that's for sure.
That's it, riding on board with Smurf as we go around for what looks like a lap or two before they kick the final event off, waiting for everybody to kick in.
It's like what I always say, what race 1 can giveth, race 2 can taketh away, except this one was the exact opposite. Race 1 took everything away, and race 2 gave it all back to me, but oh well, you get that. It'll be interesting to see if the same kind of thing unfolds here in Div 3. Obviously, the two commanding guys up the front, Vanquish and Antichrist, they're going to be starting at the back. And then we've got a few guys that had a few mistakes starting at the front. So these guys may have a lot of pace. They may be able to hot lap up there with the best of them. But they may have just made a mistake which put them down the back. So we may be able to see a very, very different race structure in this 22-lap reverse grid race coming up.
Riding on board with Vanquish here, we might run through a whole lap if we can, and just talk about the track itself. Coming into turn 4 with a weak off camber right turn. Turn 5 gives you an on camber left-hander, but it can kick you quite easily out onto the gravel there on the right-hand side. Big dip here in the left-hander up onto Rahal Straight. And moving into the braking zone here for the corkscrew, which is the highest point of the track, moving into quite a low point on the track with a left-right chicane. Left around on Rainy Curve.
Squidly's done his research on his track corners.
Oh, you know it. Hard on the brakes here. The hard left for turn 11 and onto the main straight. There's not a corner on this track that can't chew you up and spit you out if you don't have your mind absolutely on the game. There's negative camber, there's grass close to the edge, and the grass and the gravel is very slippery. As we watch ZD and Soul Slayer disappear into the distance. I'd say we'll be gearing up for a race start very shortly, ladies and gentlemen.
We will need Smurf to start that. It looks like he is cutting another hot lap. He may have received a message or something that we're not aware about, just asking to pause or hold up for a fraction of a second. So in the lobby tonight, we've got a mix of Division 3 and Division 4 drivers. So we do call this Division 3 lobby. We have kind of merged divisions in 4 divisions into 3, just due to numbers and turnouts per week. As you can see, the lobby is relatively full. In fact, it pretty much is full with the 3 guys here taking up commentary positions.
We're always recruiting though. Don't feel like just because we've got full lobbies we won't open a 4th lobby just for you and then share the love. We're always recruiting. We love clean driving, we love competitive driving, and we're always looking for new members just to mix it up. We've got a broad range of drivers from all different age brackets, all different skill brackets. This league is about developing and starting to upskill people, and it's just about having fun on the racetrack, really.
So Vanquish is actually currently being 7th in DIV3, which he's the top DIV3 driver of this current lobby at the moment. So as you'd expect, he's had not a commanding win, but he has managed to get the win. There we go, a message from Smurf. We're 2 minutes away from starting. So Vanquished, Soul Slayer, Pagani, Trixo, Piano Elephant, the Antichrist, King Oscar are all just behind each other on the Division 3 leaderboard. So they're fighting for positions here. They're fighting for sheep stations. They're all within reach of each other. And with 2 rounds left, they're gonna want to make it happen.
Shout out to ZD right now with a 122.426. I've been practicing with ZD this afternoon on this track. We've been going at it since about 2 PM or so, and lap after lap after lap after lap after lap, he was just not able to break that 1 minute 23, and here he is, absolutely blew it out of the park. Well done, ZD, good on you, mate.
ZD very, very motivated to getting faster as well, which we love to see. ZD's getting very active in the league. He's relatively new. This is his 2nd round in wheel-to-wheel. Or is it his 3rd?
I was just thinking, I think it might be his 3rd, but in any case, as you said, new to the league and fairly new to Gran Turismo Sport. Not new to driving by a long shot, but new to Gran Turismo Sport, which is a world unto itself.
Yeah, it definitely takes a while to transition between real-life driving onto a sim. You know, you immediately lose that fear factor. You immediately lose the feel in the car, unless you've got an expensive sim, which some of you guys might. But typically, you got people here playing with a DS4 or just a rigid rig with a steering wheel, or even on their couch with a steering wheel. You know, I don't think anyone in the league really has the motion sims, so trying to replicate the real feel of a car is kind of all in your head when you're playing a game like this. It does take a while to transition, even just between DS4 and steering wheel is a very challenging transition.
It took me quite a while after I got rid of the PlayStation controller, the DualShock 4, and onto my Logitech G29, which seems to be probably the most commonly used controller through the league. It took me quite a while to get used to it. You'd think you'd sort of get that immediate feel and that immediate, upskill increase in speed, but it's just not so, unfortunately.
No, but a wheel does yield great results. A wheel does allow you to be a lot more smoother with your inputs. You can save a lot more tyre. And I also find it helps a lot just with throttle and braking as well, like trying to apply throttle slowly and trail brake into corners with your finger. It does open you up to a bit of mistakes. You've just got a lot less resolution in terms of movement.
But it also brings that element of realism too, which I love.
So we are starting race 2 now. We've got Heartstopper starting on pole, and the fast guys at the back, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here into turn 1.
Heartstopper in the lead.
Oh, we've got Vanquish with an absolute lightning start from the back. He's managed to hit some people and get his way all the way up there.
Ooh,
he is not hanging around.
Bit of rubbing, a little bit of carnage up front, but
Hustle has found the sand.
he seems to be the only one though. We've got mostly clean through turn 1, fortunately.
It is a long race, so if you do find the sand in the first lap, it's not over.
Contrary to what I said to everybody 2 nights ago for the MX5 Corona Cup, the race is not won and lost at turn 1, lap 1. Although I will say the MX5 Corona Cup is a whole different kettle of fish with boost and slipstream. But in Group 3, this is something where we strive to bring a bit of realism to the league, and it's really just a far better strategy to keep it nice and clean and just avoid contact at all costs, in particular on the first lap, as Pagani gets a beautiful move done on Soul Slayer out of the pit.
Yeah, so we've got King Oscar out in front, who's managed to put the move up on Heartstopper in the first lap. Heartstopper's now coming under pressure from Pagani, who's making some very good moves up the field. He finished 4th in the last race, which would have netted him 9th in this race, 10th in this race, and he's already up to 3rd. So Pagani's absolutely moving right now.
At the start.
And Vanquish back in 6th, who's looking to put the move on ZD. Late breaking up the inside, he's managed to make it stick. But Vanquish up another position. He's up to 5th from last. Antichrist not doing as well down in 10th. He may have just been in the wrong place at the wrong time as the boys in front of him sent to move. But as we know, Antichrist has a lot of pace. So we're going to be watching him fight his way through the field, that's for sure.
Vanquish running up into the Rahal Straight here, just behind Soul Slayer, his fellow teammate in the Aston Martin.
Absolutely abusing that sausage curb.
Absolutely. Here's that closure of that gap as Vanquish just sends that Aston very sideways, but with 7 seconds up on the fastest lap, or the second lap. Unsurprising, but I think we'll see a fastest lap come out of Vanquish here.
The King Oscar out in front, trying to break that toe to Heartstopper. He's got a nearly 1.2 second lead. It is dropping. But he's going to be looking to break that toe from Heartstopper and just try and get away and race his own race. Because he knows he's going to have the likes of Pagani and Vanquish breathing down his neck very soon.
Pagani definitely putting the moves onto Heartstopper down for the for second, but Heartstopper having none of it, defending quite well.
Single file through the rest of the pack. No one's really in a position to make a lunge anywhere yet. So it looks like Soul Slayer getting wide, losing a position there. The Vanquish
now with his sights on Pagani.
The Vanquish absolutely gifted 4th spot now with a nice run up to the back of this 3-way battle pack for the lead. I think we'll see him on the
second
back
gap
of it.
just disappearing in front of him.
Yeah, so all the battling happenings, netting Vanquish this. Once again setting purple sectors.
Again though, on lap 3, as we come to the end of lap 3 of a 22-lap race, it's not just about who's in the lead and who can make the most passes now. I think they'll be sort of mid-pack.
We've got Pagani. So Pagani's managed to undercut Heartstopper on the exit of the turn.
Can he make it stick into the Andretti hairpin though?
Vanquish looking around the outside as well. He's looking to make the outside stick against Heartstopper as well. Just not enough in it. Heartstopper has conceded a position to Pagani, and Pagani's now going to put his boots on and try and get up to the back of King Oscar. He doesn't want to let that gap extend out to the point where he's got no slipstream.
Look, when you're fending off an attack from your inside and your outside, unfortunately you're going to have to concede one or the other, I think.
Unfortunately, right. Hustle's managed to drop down to 11th as well after that earlier incident in the sand on lap 1, turn 1, or turn 2. I'm not sure what the turn numbers are here. I should have done my research.
All the battling behind though, keeping King Oscar out in front with roughly 1 second.
We got Piano
lead.
who's had an off. Piano's had an off, lost a couple positions, so we got Hustle closing. Oh, they've
Piano
contact.
round as well.
There's contact. Oh no, sort it out, boys. Get the cars back on track. Contact between Hustle and who else was that? Piano Elephant, I believe. Yeah.
Might be able to get a replay. I think we might have missed it, but
No, we're on that, boys. Got it.
Through there, we had a bit of contact on Piano.
We do have the replay.
You know, we were actually covering that, boys, so we had that one.
Oh yeah, we were.
Yep.
There we go.
Perfect. For anyone that is wondering why there's a bit of disjoint here, we do have fine moves there doing the visuals. And then we got myself and Squidly. We are watching the same race, but not the same stream. So unfortunately, that's a limitation.
Achiever.
Yeah, we unfortunately have a few limitations with the way we're running these streams. We're doing the best we can with what we've got, and it does seem to work, but we do have a few moments just where it all doesn't line up for a second, and we've all got to find our rhythm again.
Vanquish runs wide, gifting Heartstopper third. Very unfortunate for Vanquish, who...
Oh, Vanquish dropping all the way back.
And just slowly climbing up as Soul Reaper just squeezes in front.
Vanquish eventually settling back into ninth. He's not going to be happy with that, and with the pace we saw in race 1, he's given himself some damage as well. So Vanquish does have some front right damage, and it looks like that off has taken a massive chunk of life out of his tyres.
Out of that front right tyre, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting watching Vanquish fight through from 9th now. He's 9 seconds off the lead, so, 9 seconds across 17 laps isn't that unachievable. We may see Vanquish still come in and challenge for the lead, especially if there's some battling happening up the front. And it looks like that might happen with Pagani closing in on King Oscar. He's now right on the back. He can smell the exhaust fumes.
Not only that, but Smurf and ZD going at it too. But what we can also see right now is Vanquish with a 1 minute 22.6, clocking the fastest lap for the race so far. He's definitely got the pace, but it's really at this stage a case of holding out on those tyres and seeing if he can keep that pace going throughout more than just one lap, the whole way through, and just climbing his way back up the pack.
So then 6th, we've got Warpath looking to find a way past Smurf. He's closing right in on him onto the corkscrew.
And Smurf also closing up on ZD.
Yeah, ZD having a
look on the
bit
inside.
of a tank slapper. Oh, there's contact. Let's push ZD out wide, but they've gathered it.
He holds onto it. Warpath just looks like he's biding his time to let this battle play out.
I think that's the smart thing to do. When you see two guys going this hard together, you don't want to get involved. King Oscar's managed to open up a 1.5 second advantage to Pagani as well. So I'm not sure if King Oscar's just put his skates on and he's said, see you later, I'm out of here. Or if Pagani may have made a mistake late in the last lap.
On the 7th lap, Pagani could be starting to see his tyres start to turn and start to plateau, where King Oscar still has a solid amount of grip. You never know, depending how they've looked after their tyres on the preceding 6.5 laps, there might just be that little bit of extra tyre wear on Pagani, giving King Oscar a little bit of extra.
That's right, Pagani did start at the back and King Oscar was up near the front, so Pagani's obviously been pushing hard, trying to make up those positions, trying to get it done early as well, so he's going to be looking to stick with King Oscar here, or at least pass him very soon and try and get out in front and just run his own race. So I think he's used a bit of tyre early on just to try and make everything happen quickly. We just hope he manages to keep his driving consistent, as he does just run a bit wide there in the background.
Now Pagani, as I mentioned before, one of our commentators, Pagani also runs his own stream, so we might see a first-person view of this race from Pagani with his own commentary down the track. If you're keen to follow him on YouTube, his ID is Pagani Gaming, so it might be worth a look.
Get on the back of his car in chase cam as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Pagani Gaming on the back there. So his tyres are definitely worn. You can see that now in how he's driving and how King Oscar's managing to pull that gap out to 2.7 seconds. And Heartstopper back in third. Only 2.3 seconds off of Pagani, but his tyres look like they're brand new. Heartstopper looks like he's just pit stopped basically. Nearly fresh tyres. ZD closely following as well with slightly more worn tyres, but ZD absolutely showing some great pace right now. Looking like he could be a contender.
Yeah, the closest
we've got Heartstopper in the fence.
Heartstopper in the fence at the corkscrew. Very difficult turn. See if we can get that on a replay and see what's happened. He comes around up on the rainy straight. See what happens. Just lost a bit of grip on the negative camber there, unfortunately.
Just sailing over the crest. He's just had the rear overtake the front.
Which, on a car like the Porsche, unfortunately, you got the engine all the way down the back, just in front of the rear wheels there. They're easy to get sideways, those Porsches. So unfortunately, it is what it is for Heartstopper. Now down in 11th. But it's gifted ZD third.
It's also gifted Vanquish 7th, who dropped down into 9th after going wide. Vanquish seems to be really struggling with his tyres at the moment. Not managing to close that gap up to Antichrist in front of him or King Oscar in the lead as well. But King Oscar in that FT1 doing an absolutely great job on his tyres. Absolutely great job on his tyres there. Doing a 22 after 8 laps is pretty close to DIV3 pace, so King Oscar's going to be a real contender for this one. Be interesting to see if we have him pit on lap 10 for the undercut, lap 11 for the middle, or if he tries to do an overcut because he knows he's got the clean track.
He's got the clean track. As you mentioned, he's got the clean tyres, so he may be looking to capitalise on that while he can. But, I mean, looking at his lap times, it's just 123, 123, 123. He's very consistent, and that's really, in these longer races, what you love to see.
His tyres are probably twice as good as mine were in DIV1. I'm a bit of a sucker for tyre use. I tend to use a bit too much of my tyres, just trying to get those fast times down. As it looks like King Oscar here has that ability just to turn it down a step and just, really be smooth with his inputs and throttle, brake and steering, and it's netted him a great set of tyres to now pull away from Pagani at a rate of nearly half a second a lap.
Antichrist and Warpath having a little bit of a jostle down in 5th and 6th. This is the battle for 5th. And just ahead of them as well, Smurf and ZD in both the Porsches.
Yeah, it looks like there's a bit of overlap going into the corkscrew. Smurf's trying to send it around the outside. It's a very ballsy place to make a move. He manages to get the move stuck.
Pulled off exactly the same move. Both cars that we just talked about pulling off moves. Nicely done, gents.
It has yielded Smurf with a penalty though. He did have to take slightly evasive action and he did cross all 4 of his wheels over the ripple strip, which has given him a half a second penalty. Now in wheel to wheel we do have to serve penalties on the lap that they are obtained. You'll see now he's serving it before the line there, so that's perfectly legal from Smurf, but it has given the position back to ZD.
All that work.
Luckily, hasn't come under fire from Antichrist just yet, though.
Give it time. Antichrist definitely keen to make that pass, but at this, on the 11th lap, I think all cars are probably likely.
It looks like it might happen now. Here it is, up the inside. Smurf just ran a little bit wide, got some dirty tyres, compromised his exit speed, and Antichrist was able to capitalise on that.
We talk about how battling delays the cars involved. ZD skated up about 1.5 seconds of a gap in front of Antichrist now because of that gap in that battle. And again, Warpath just stalking from 6th, just waiting. Always waiting.
Drop it down to the back of the pack there at 13th. You've got Weary. doesn't seem to be having a great race. He's 22 seconds off 12th. He's a minute 10 behind the leader. It looks like King Oscar may be passing. Oh, Pagani's in for the undercut. No, Pagani's got it. Sorry, what lap are we on? We're on lap 11.
We're on lap 11. That's half race.
That's normal.
Half race
So
distance.
we've got King Oscar staying out for the overcut.
Not too
Nowhere near
surprising
enough.
from King Oscar, to be honest.
Yeah, with consistent lap times, it's probably not a bad strategy, because anyone who does the overcut could have put themselves in front of King Oscar and compromised his outlap speed. It'll be interesting to see where Pagani comes out now with the 14-second pit stop. If he does get himself into some traffic, which he hasn't, he's in perfectly clean air.
Yeah, looking very nice.
So
This
Pagani's
will
going
be
to be
Pagani's time to put down the quick times.
Oh yeah, he's going to have the red mist in the helmet. He was 5 seconds behind King Oscar, and on fresh tyres you can have a difference of between 2 and 3 seconds on an outlap.
Looking very clean there into the first few corners as he comes around. Up towards...
Oh, we've got Smurf off at the uphill left-hander before corkscrew.
Lucky.
Those old tyres seem to be getting the better of him. I'm not sure why we haven't seen more people pit on lap 11. No one's got the fuel to make a full 22 laps, so there's no stop option. Everyone just seems to be going for the overcut, which is very interesting strategy.
King Oscar into the pits now. I think we'll see quite a lot of ZD in. Most
The
of rest of
Antichrist staying out.
Murph remaining out as well.
Staying out on those tyres. So he's really trying to give himself a fresh set of boots for that last run home. It's probably the first lap Antichrist has had some clean track, so he's probably hoping he's going to be able to put a nice lap down. He did manage to save his tyres quite well in race 1. Looks like he's used a bit more tyre this race. It'll be interesting to see how he goes with his pace there. Oztol Reapers managed to keep that gap down very low as well and brought himself back in the mix in this race. As we see a very heavily damaged FT1.
Yeah, similar tyre wear as well, and similar fuel. Both of them will need to pit within the next couple of laps in order to make this work. But I think you're quite right. With a little bit of clear air and clear track in front of him, Antichrist wants to try and capitalise on that. Time will tell if that's enough for him, though.
Yeah, dropping down there to 4th is King Oscar, who's effectively our race leader at the moment. Pagani has managed with that undercut to close up over 4 seconds on King Oscar.
Now
so you see the
4
difference
behind.
in lap time that old tyres make. So Pagani is going to have 1 lap older tyres
He
for
goes
the
for
rest
the
of
pass
his race.
out in the rainy curve on the outside.
There's contact.
He's made it stick.
He's made it stick. Amazing.
Beautifully done.
So his tyres are going to be 1 lap older for the rest of the race, which you'd expect to see a small difference in lap times reflected.
Oh, we see
Smooths
Smurf
off
having
there.
a horrible time out in the gravel.
Smurf staying out again for a 14th lap.
I'm hesitant to think that he might have the fuel for this.
I don't think a no stop is a viable option here.
Definitely not a no stop, but I wonder if he might just be trying to get those absolutely fresh tyres for those last few laps. Pagani having a beautiful run, now with a 1 second lead over King Oscar.
Yeah, back in 4th there. Looks like we've got ZD, who's looking like he's trying to make a 2-stop work. So ZD pit back on lap 6 or 7 there. We expect to see ZD maybe in the pits again. Oh no, ZD's got fresh boots on. He just haven't shown his pit lap. So ZD is on a 2-stop.
Yeah, that's strange. You've got a 1 minute 45 on lap 12, so I'd say he dived in on lap 12 or lap 11 and had his out lap on lap 12.
Yeah,
So
okay. It's
fresh set of boots
not
there.
just. Yeah, it must be a graphic error on my behalf. Apologies for that. I was seeing.
No, I
had
said
a
the
big.
same.
Oh, it was. Maybe it's just a GT Sport glitch.
Yeah. See, ZD's definitely closing that gap into Smurf as Smurf dives into the pits, finally on lap 14 with 8% fuel left.
And Vanquish, who managed to have a big off earlier, looks like he managed to save a lot of fuel and jump a few people in the pits. He's managed to get ahead of the Antichrist And he's now chasing down Warpath.
He's got his sights set as he's just set the fastest lap again at 121.9. Runs on the outside of Warpath.
Okay, he can't make it. He can't do it 2 times in a row. No, he doesn't.
As he said, he's got the red mist. He is not letting up as he takes 4th place from Warpath on the inside.
He's ripped it right out of Warpath's hands. So Vanquish 4.7 seconds behind ZD in 3rd. It's 8 laps, 8 laps to go, 7.5 laps.
King Oscar maintaining that roughly 1 second gap behind Pagani. Possibly just hoping for Pagani to make a mistake as his tyres start to get older and older.
Pagani may know that his strength, King Oscar may know that his strength is his tyres. He may know that Pagani will use a lot of tyre and be slower in the late stages of the race. You also notice a bit of fuel difference. So Pagani may have underfueled in order to get that time down so far. He may have to start fuel saving in this race.
But as he said, we know that King Oscar can save on fuel and on tyres, and at lap 16 of 22, he might just be biding his time, waiting for that kind of 18, 19 or so to start really putting that pressure on Pagani when he knows that Pagani's tyres might start to be going off.
Yeah, that's right. And we did say we hope the boys learn from race 1. You know, we saw a lot of offs on race 1, which happens. You know, sometimes people don't practice racing with the other cars before they jump into their races and just gets the best of them, and you know, they put a bit of pressure on themselves and start making some mistakes. But currently we've got Vanquish closing that gap down to ZD. It's down to just over 4 seconds now, and he just sets a purple sector after the first lap on 6 lap old tyres. So Vanquish is properly moving. He just dips a wheel but gathers it up. He's looking to be on the back of ZD before the end of the race. He wants that podium. The 1st and the 3rd will net him very good points for a race weekend.
As you mentioned before, a track like this, qualifying quickly on a track like this is one thing, but racing with other cars all around you is completely different. You can see some of the guys who qualify on pole just don't have the skill, not necessarily the skills, but the opportunities, or be able to treat their tyres the right way, to be able to pull off the moves in the right places, to be able to actually get past the pack. So what that can really mean is you get those, mid-pack type starters straight up into the lead, and keeping it going up there.
So we've had ZD reply in the chat correcting us of the pit. ZD pits in lap 12, so somehow from 3rd there, while trying to push that Porsche around, ZD's managed to tune into the Twitch chat and correct us there. Thank you for that, ZD. Good luck with your quest to keep 3rd. If you can still hear us, you may have the on mute now while you're focusing.
God, impressive that he's able to type and drive. I wound up very much last in my last one for exactly that reason. So, look, don't text and drive, everybody, is what I'm trying to say.
You almost think that's a national campaign or something.
4 demerit points and $500 odd. I highly recommend against it, as ZD gets a bit sideways through the corkscrew, but he holds onto it and keeps it out of the fence. Still trying to zero in on King Oscar.
We're not just wheel-to-wheel commentators here, we're life educators. We will provide you with some life lessons here while you tune into the stream. Like, don't put your finger where you wouldn't put your dick. That's a good life lesson for everyone here listening. You can now go and tell your friends you've learned something on a wheel-to-wheel stream.
2nd position, King Oscar, now 8.3 seconds behind the leader. Looks like King Oscar may have had a bit of an off somewhere. I missed it, unfortunately, but that's gifted ZD a 1.5 second gap, and he's hunting King Oscar down. King Oscar, of course, with his quite clean tyres, still trying to get that gap back on Pagani and capitalise on the...
Oh, ZD's had a big moment.
Oh, he has too.
No, poor ZD. We'll get a replay on that if we can. ZD's gone from 3rd to 6th.
It looks like he's just got a little bit loose out of turn 2 and skidded off to the right-hand side of the track.
We'll possibly see ZD pipe up in the chat and tell us exactly what happened as well. He seems to be able to text and drive quite well.
He's doing better than me.
but still don't do it.
Pagani now with a very commanding lead, coming on to 4 laps to go. 7.7 seconds the gap between he and second.
Yeah, it is slowly coming down.
It is
King
slowly
Oscar
coming down.
is not out of this just yet. We did see him manage to open up a 5-second gap in the closing stages of the first stint. So it is entirely possible we can see him close some time up here with the tyre difference.
It's hard to believe the way that he looks after his tyres and actually maintains the pace that he does. It's very impressive, running consistent 122s, low 123s for King Oscar on those tyres.
Oh, we've got Antichrist. He has made the move around the outside of turn 1, stick on warpath. What is going on with the DIV3 boys here? How are they? I don't think
here
anyone would have thought.
On the replay. Beautifully done, and I think it was Warpath that had that exact move done on him last time as well.
So Warpath being a very good sport there and giving the boys plenty of track on the outside to work with. A good driving Warpath, and ultimately a probably pretty good strategy. You know, he lets the guy past and he doesn't lose too much time battling the guys behind. So Warpath is on for a 5th here if he can keep Oz Soul Reaper back for 3.5 more laps. But that off from ZD, we saw a few moments ago, has gifted Vanquish 3rd. So Vanquish was our race 1 winner. He's currently trying to chase down the King Oscar with his very worn tyres. I'm not sure that we're going to see Vanquish get up to the back of King Oscar here without Oscar making a mistake. But Vanquish has shown some amazing pace this entire race, setting a 121.9, and he's got a couple of low 22s against his name as well. Absolutely moving.
Yeah, for race pace, 121.9, anything in the 121s, honestly, is very quick, so...
Hammy's rooting for Pagani down in the chat. Old Hammy, the Lexus team owner there. I was fortunate enough to have Hammy on my team last year, driving for Merck. We managed to take the Will to Will Season 3 team victory there, so thank you for all your efforts, Hammy. And G-Force Gang and Fine Moves. I can't say no thanks to you guys as well. We got after this race, we got 1 round left in this current Season 5. We've currently got Mitsubishi leading the team championship, followed by Supra, followed by Team FT1. So it's not done yet. We could see some late upsets.
Look, I'm quite pleased to see Vanquish up there in 3rd position for Aston Martin.
And Antichrist in 4th now as well.
Definitely. A good 3-4 finish will keep me happy.
So Warpath has made a mistake somewhere on the lap. He's dropped 2 positions to Ozzsol and ZD. So ZD recovering well from his off earlier.
ZD definitely jumped that place. Got his eyes set on Soul Reaper in 5th, but with 2 laps to run now, just have to keep our eyes on Soul Reaper closest up on Antichrist with a 1.5 second gap. And a fairly solid gap between most of the pack here. Probably Soul Slayer up on Piano Elephant down in 9th. Soul Slayer looks keen to make a move.
Another Aston boy there, Soul Slayer. Soul Slayer also helping out with some of the wheel-to-wheel management side of things. So thank you for all your efforts, Soul Slayer, and thank you for your input into the league.
I mentioned before the host, but also, you know, a shout out to all the team owners, a shout out to the commentators, a shout out to Fine Moves and to Ben, who do so much of the background work in uploading or keeping that Excel spreadsheet up to date with the results of each member, and that's really what keeps us going and what sets us up for the next season, in knowing who's going to be in which divisions, knowing who's going to be able to be a team owner, and all of those sorts of things that really...
I'm just going to bring your attention to the front of the race here for a second, sorry guys, but King Oscar has got the gap down to 1.4 seconds on Pagani. It looks like Pagani may have had an incident with a lapped vehicle there, being Weary Citizen. I am speculating. I don't know what happened. But we are in for a nail-biting finish here. We've got King Oscar absolutely tearing chunks of time off of Pagani
down to
now.
1 second.
With fresh tyres. We're in for a nail-biting finish, guys.
He's down to 7/10. King Oscar on the final lap. Might be worth riding on board with King Oscar to see what happens here.
4 tenths, 4.5, 3 tenths. Where's the move going to happen? Is there going to be a move?
It'll have to be. It won't be here,
Closing
but
in
it'll
on
be.
the brakes. Both of them treading very gingerly through the corkscrew.
Pagani will be sweating bullets right now, knowing that he just doesn't have the tyres. It's going to have to be on the last corner if there's
He's
a
gone
move to be
defensive. He's going to go defensive again, I believe. Will it be a traction difference? Are we going to have a drag race to the line?
He's
King
holding his
Oscar going the
defensive
undercut.
line.
He's going the
King
undercut.
Oscar-
There's
Oh,
contact.
there's a touch,
He's going
there's
to
touch.
redress.
And in good sportsmanship, King Oscar has redressed a move that he could have made, unfortunately with that little bit of contact, but good sportsmanship, wonderful last lap. Congratulations Pagani, King Oscar, Vanquish in 3rd, Antichrist in 4th, and Soul Reaper in 5th.
ZD with another mountain goat flick across the line. Warpark has done a great race, just had the position taken away on the outside of turn 1 twice. Followed by Soul Slayer, Piano Elephant, then Soul Slayer. And we've got Smurf coming up to the line now in that Porsche. So Hustle and
coming onto the
Heartstopper
last lap.
still running.
Last straight.
Heartstopper having a moment at the chicane.
A race to forget for Heartstopper, I'd say. Really unfortunate after running in 3rd for so long there.
He's not going to get to finish. The race delay has kicked in. So Pagani taking the lead there, holding off a late charge from King Oscar. King Oscar just trying to get the undercut done, and Pagani slammed their door shut on him. It resulted in contact, and King Oscar did the right thing and let Pagani sail away down the straight for the lead. Very good driving from all of you DIV3 boys.
Absolutely. No, well done to all the DIV3 guys, and well done to everyone else across all three divisions here playing tonight. It's been some great racing. It is a great track, and you know we've had everything. We've had upsets. We've had fantastic passes. We've had 2 passes on the outside of turn 1 at Laguna Seca, which is outrageous. But you know, great sportsmanship showed by all, and I think we had a pretty fantastic race night tonight, guys, so thanks very much.
Absolutely. I hope you guys all enjoyed the commentary and the action brought to you by myself, Footner, I am Footner, Squidly, and Fine Moves doing the visuals. I'm pretty sure the stream looked nice and crisp for you boys. Fine Moves very good on the visuals there. Squidly very good on the vocals.
Whoa. Let's not blow smoke anywhere it doesn't deserve to be blown. No, thanks very much, guys. It's been a great week. It's been some great racing, and look, we look forward to seeing you all next week, next Sunday, for the Group 3 round 11. Now, as we said, it might not be live, but we will be racing next Sunday, and we'll try and do something to bring you some highlights of the Super Enduro round Bathurst next Sunday.
Thanks for all the kind words in chat as well. ZD saying thank you, King Oscar, Soul Slayer, K-Boy. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for tuning in. It does make us know that commentary is probably the right direction for the league, so we are keen to bring you guys some more commentary for Season 5.
Definitely. We'll be here, and we look forward to seeing you here as well. Thanks very much, guys. See you soon.
See you later.